Are you using the mark of God or Satan? Let me explain. If you read this King James Bible and you go to the book of Mark, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and you go to chapter 1, you'll notice that there are 45 verses. You go to chapter 2, 28, chapter 3, 35. You go down through there, and what you come up with is 678 verses in the book of Mark here in your King James Bible. But if you use these new versions here, which I'll be showing in closer detail in a moment, you realize that they remove 12 verses, or at least they put them in question. They put them in brackets and say these aren't in the 2 oldest and best manuscripts, which I'll show you here in just a minute. Why 12? I wonder why it'd be 12 verses. I mean, why not 9? Why not maybe 13 verses or 15 verses or 3 verses or something like that? Why would they choose 12 verses? I wonder why. Well, kids, boys and girls, let's do some fun math, shall we? 678 verses. What you can do, like I said, you just go to the chapter. Each chapter, you look at the last verse and you write that down. This is what you'll get. 678 minus 12. Well, boys and girls, let's see what it adds up to, or subtracts to, it will say. 8 minus 2 is what? 6. 7 minus 1 is 6. And we have 1 left, don't we? 6. And what do? We carry that down and we have 6, 6, 6. By sheer coincidence, there's no conspiracy, because conspiracies are for crazy people. Always remember that. Okay? Interesting number to come up with there. But let's begin here with the English Standard Version. Right there. Okay, Mark chapter 12. Here we have the note. It says, some of the earliest manuscripts do not include 16, 9 through 20. Right there. You're reading it. They question the last 12 verses. It's very important you take care of these new versions. They're extremely important. Here we have the Ryrie Study Bible, New American Standard Version, New American Standard Bible. Say it that way. Okay? See it right there? Not wanting to focus. But let's go to Mark chapter 16. This one says, verse 9, these verses do not appear in 2 of the most trustworthy manuscripts of the New Testament. Yeah, the 19th century forgery, Sinaiticus, and the medieval forgery, basically Vaticanus, and they're just filled with all kinds of corruption. Remove whole books of the Bible, thousands of errors, contradict each other in thousands of places, but they're very trustworthy. Though they are part of many other manuscripts and versions, if they are not a part of the genuine text of Mark, which these people haven't seen, the abrupt ending at verse 8 is probably because the original closing verses were lost. So you can't trust the last 12 verses, but there are 12 original verses that are just gone. Okay? The doubtful genuineness of verses 9 through 20 make it unwise to build a doctrine or base an experience on them. Oh, you mean like the resurrection of Jesus? Yeah. Right there it is. Look at the footnote. Read it for yourself. Right there it is. Okay? New American Standard. All right? And don't worry, it's not temper or anything. I'm not angry. I'm smiling. How about the newest NIV, the 2011 NIV? Here we have Mark chapter 16. It says, the earliest manuscripts and some other ancient witnesses do not have verses 9 through 20. They're lying to you. Right there it is. Okay? The ancient witnesses. Oh, really? I showed this in another study. Early church father citations from 170 and 180 AD, where they're quoting the last 12 verses of Mark. Proven, documented, right here. I won't throw this because it's actually from a man that defends the Word of God. But the supposed 4th century Vaticanus and Sinaiticus take the last 12 verses out. Why? That's why. All right. How about another great one here? The New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures. The Jehovah's Witness Bible. The long conclusion here. Certain ancient manuscripts and versions, they have some of the things here, different letters and whatnot, add the following long conclusion, but which the different ones here omit. Right there you go. You can read that for yourself. Okay? Woo! Just launch that one over the top there. Now, just for some extra added, interest here, how about the Message remix for the drug heads and whatever else here that like to fake that they're Christians and they are disturbed by the King James Bible. Note, Mark 16:9 through 20, the portion in brackets is contained only in later manuscripts. There you go. Fly away, birdie. All right. How about the New King James Version with the occult tricatura right there? You can trust that. Occult symbol, same symbol that's on the cover of witchcraft grimoires and things in witchcraft books, but, yeah. Okay. Verses 9 through 20 are bracketed in the Nestle United Bible Society, the NU text, as not original, even though they've never seen the originals. They are lacking in Codex Sinaiticus and Codex Vaticanus, although nearly all other manuscripts of Mark contain them. Get that thing out of there. You can read that. It's pretty small. Okay? So your New King James Version, well, it has it in, but we'll just question it in the footnotes. Finally, let's go with the New American Bible. The New American Bible with, where's the thing here? Lord, all-seeing eye. Yeah, that's the Lord of the Catholic Church, apparently. Yeah, but this is a Roman Catholic Bible. And here it talks about the longer ending. Right there. And of course, just toss that one away too. See, your King James Bible, right here, if you use a King James Bible, it contains those verses. They're very important. All right? But let me show you another little interesting thing here about this particular number. Okay? See, God likes to put his fingerprints on a Bible, on this book right here, this King James Bible. And your King James Bible has 678 verses. You say, what's that have to do with God, Brian? That's not a godly number or whatever else. 6 plus 7 is 13. Plus 8 equals 21. 8 plus 7 is 15. 15 plus 6 is 21. You say, what's significant about 21? Well, if you take 21 divided by 3, you get 7. So 21 is made up of what? 3 sevens. Again, coincidence. Purely coincidence. Okay? Never mind the fact that in the King James Bible, in the book of Revelation, which Vaticanus omits the whole book, and Sinaiticus adds Shepherd of Hermas and the Epistle of Barnabas after Revelation, purely by coincidence. There's two oldest and best manuscripts. The King James Bible in the book of Revelation has 3 sets of judgment, each with 7. 7 seals, 7 trumpets, 7 vials. 777. Why? To judge 666, the mark of the beast. The number of a man, God's number. So you see, it just comes down to that whole thing. Either you're reading the Mark of God, the book of Mark, the one that God inspired, or you're reading one of these satanic ones that's laying on the floor around me here, the Mark of Satan. 666 verses 777. That's just common sense, okay? I'm not even talking about this. You can say, oh, that's just kooky. That's nonsense. Okay, what about the fact that there's early church father citations almost 200 years before Sinaiticus and Vaticanus supposedly showed up, and they're reading and quoting from those 12 verses. And these guys say, well, it's not part of the original readings. Have you ever seen the original readings? No, but we know it's not in there. You see, read those last 12 verses and you'll see why they want them out of there. You see why these Satanists can't stand the thought of the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Because they hate him. That's the whole truth of the matter. You see, if you actually want to go with science, there's really no reason to reject the last 12 verses of the book of Mark. There isn't any. But if you want to go with the spiritual reasoning, they have a very real reason to get rid of those 12 verses right there. Please take this to heart. Please study. Okay? Go with these guys with the new versions, the ones that they've had to come out with. I mean, over 200 new versions in 100 years. Going back to 1881 up to the present time. Here, a little over 100 years. But if you look at the 19th or the 20th century rather, about 100 or 200 new versions in 100 years. Why? Why? Almost like they're trying to get rid of a certain book. Almost like the video I did with Manly Palmer Hall, the leading philosopher of the Freemasonic system in the 20th century. And he's talking about the need to lift up Vaticanus and Sinaiticus and get rid of the old King James Bible. Almost like Satan's people are trying to usher in an Antichrist with an Antichrist book, like the ones on the floor, to get rid of the God-inspired scriptures. Better think about that. Thank you for watching.